everyone, and welcome to the Good Woo. So, this is about eclipses, and we have 3 in a row, 2 weeks apart, through July 5th, and they are all intense, to say the least. So, this first one, we're already in its orb, so to speak, and this is why we are seeing what we're seeing now. 2020 is a year where all the structures that have held into place our society, the structures that work against us living in harmony and in unity and in equality, they're all up to be deconstructed. And they're in our faces because it's sort of like having a zit. Like it swells, then you have to pop it, and like then it heals. So we're very much in the stage right now where we're looking at like the collective acne, and it's messy and it's painful and it's shameful. So that's what we're in. June 5th, we have a very powerful releasing eclipse, and this is a full moon eclipse. It is touted to be a very, very emotional time because we are going to be triggered. So it's kind of like when you're on a plane and you're in turbulence, right? You know when they get on and they say we're about to be experiencing turbulence, you know that the plane, 99.9% chance that it's not going to be falling out of the sky, right? But you do experience fear and these triggers of the fear of the plane falling out of the sky and the lack of control you have, that you're hurtling through air in like a metal cigar box, basically. The triggers are real, but you're not likely to be actually getting into a plane crash. And these triggers, we are all getting triggered right now. And these triggers can stem back from your childhood, old relationships. But the present moment, when these eclipses are happening like we're seeing now, the present moment is going to bring it all up. So injustice, right? It's not just the momentary injustice we experience and we're witnessing. It's that it triggers, because we're in eclipse season and everything is so heightened, it triggers every injustice you could ever imagine, that you've ever experienced, that you've ever witnessed, and beyond. And it does this because eclipses are node points. So the way I like to look at this is if, destiny, does it exist? Part of me believes it does, but not in the ways of, you're meant to be with this person and you're meant to have this child at this point, you're meant to work this particular job. More along the lines of destiny is a series of lessons that you are required to learn as a soul having a human journey. And those lessons are node points, meaning they're points within the trajectory of your particular lifetime that you can't get around. Like you have to go through them, right? You can get stuck on them and not move past them, but they're there to be learned and to expand the intelligence and experience of your soul. How we learn those lessons, how we learn that lesson is up to us. The choices we make, the people we commit to, the jobs we accept, the friendships we create, that's our free will. So life is like a combination of this trajectory of lessons and our choices as to how exactly we will be learning them and with who. So eclipses are like collective node points where there is a lesson to be learned, and how we learn it as a collective is up to us as a collective. But the node point is there and the lesson is there, and you got to move through it to get past it. Now, eclipses operate on different time scales. A lot of them last up to 2 years. So the energy is very much like concentric, kind of almost like you think of like Russian dolls in a way. it seems linear to us, but when you take the higher perspective, it's actually like concentric, and they're working in great cycles, many thousand-year cycles. So this eclipse on June 5th, it is a full moon eclipse. We're already feeling it. We're already super emotional. We're all getting triggered. It's bringing up anger and rage. There's intense aspects to Mars and Venus are making a square. This is a big turning point. And the one piece of advice that I have given my clients is whenever we have a full moon eclipse like this that is a releasing eclipse, meaning it's a south node eclipse, which is in your natal chart where your south node is what you've come in with, like your most recent past life or the energy that has been most predominant. And although we want to call on those energies, it's actually, we've been there, done that, and we have to move beyond it. So when we have an eclipse like this that's connected to the south node, thank you, Crow, it is a time to release and let go. And as we're facing what we're facing as a culture right now, I started thinking, like, what do we need to let go of in this situation when so many of us want to stand up and fight and initiate? So first off, it is an incredible time to clean your house, to clean your cupboards, to clean the cutlery drawer. You know, everybody has a crap drawer. Clean that out. To really get rid of what is in your environment that brings you down. And even as far as, like, if there's something you have and you're keeping it because of sentimental value, but it reminds you of something or someone that hurt you or caused you pain or creates sadness, it's like really time to let it go. And same thing internally, we really have to look at where are you holding on to anger and resentment and rage, and how do you move those energies through you? You know, emotions are a reaction we have when we're triggered, and most of us don't even feel them. We have them, and then we like get stuck in this trigger position, sort of. But what we ideally want to do is to feel them as fully and deeply as we can, so that we can move them through the body, because they're like energetic waves. So a way to work with this process is when you are triggered and an intense emotion manifests, to make the choice to feel it. And to feel it, give yourself a timer and say for 2 minutes, feel the anger coursing through your veins, bubbling up, tensing your jaw, flushing your cheeks, nauseating your stomach, your hips clenching, like whatever it is, just to be there with it for 2 minutes, to honor it, to honor its bodily messages, to honor your body, to honor the process. And then on the 2-minute mark, you'll hear the alarm, and that feeling, because it has been felt, will now move. And I think right now, it is a really important time to be doing this, especially when it comes to anger and when it comes to rage. And one of the things that happens oftentimes when we move anger through is that underneath it is sadness. And we do the same thing then. Your existence is so complex and beautiful. One emotion, one feeling will lead to another. And eventually you do get to peace. So if there's sadness underneath the anger, because my gosh, I have experienced that with what we're watching, then sit with that sadness for 2 minutes or 2 hours. Just sit with it. Let it be in your body. The heaviness that we feel in our chest, the density when we're sad, how our face wants to just slack. You couldn't possibly create a smile. Fine, be there with it. And then it will move through. So this eclipse is really going to put into context where you are at with emotional mastery and working with your emotions and allowing your emotions to be messengers, and where you are not, where you maybe drink your emotions away or smoke your emotions away or eat them away, or, you know, I mean, we've been in quarantine, but, you know, have sex with random people. There's so many things that we do to not feel. And the tricky part about this eclipse on June 5th is that none of those are going to work. It will actually, when we go to these coping mechanisms and we like pull for that cigarette or whatever, it's not going to work. It's going to intensify the discomfort. So the old ways, right? South node eclipse, full moon eclipse, the releasing, the old ways won't work. They're not working in our society, right? They're not going to work for us individually, especially if those coping mechanisms block the emotional flow. Because our emotions are there to help us make decisions. And we can't be making the decisions that are going to push us through those lessons to the other side, to the next lesson, so we can continue to experience more profound connection and satisfaction in life if we're not listening to them, if we're not feeling them and moving them through. So it's set to be a very turbulent eclipse season and summer. It will be in our face how we cope with stress, anger, sadness, rage, and change. And it's going to be up in our faces, our coping mechanisms. And it will behoove us all to amp up the buzzword self-care and self-love. The Epsom salt baths, I do 4 to 5 pounds of Epsom salts and a whole box of baking soda. They're called alchemy baths. These are incredibly powerful tools when we're in a time like this. It helps not only cleanse and detox the body, which right now is a great time to be detoxing, but it also cleanses and clears our magnetic field. And right now, you know, a lot of, because we're a collective, anger and rage and fear, it's catching. And you could be experiencing emotions and feelings and energy that actually isn't yours. And so these alchemy baths are incredible because they really help us cleanse every layer of our being. And another thing that you can do is when you do feel like you are just saturated, is to literally say, all energy that is not my own, I ask, leave my body now. And then you can ask, and in return, I ask for a healing stream of grace to pour into every layer of my being. This is a great tool as well. So, you know, relationships and friendships and work relationships, we're in an eclipse season that also includes a Venus retrograde. And Venus is about to, well, actually as of today, in most of the world, we were not able to see her in the night sky anymore. And around the second week of June, she will reappear as a morning star. So not only are we in this turbulent time, but for the next basically 2.5 weeks, we will not have Venus's benevolent, loving energy, right? She's the goddess of love, the goddess of prosperity and pleasure. And we can't see her from the planet right now. So this is a time to really be your own Venus. So, Lynn, what does that mean? Well, that means take care of yourself. That even in the midst of all this crazy upheaval, right? And we're still in the middle of a pandemic, I think. It is never been more important to find moments of joy and pleasure, right? Just because we're going through a massive societal revolution and change on every level does not mean that you're not allowed to have fun, that you're not allowed to laugh and enjoy people and, enjoy your body and have sex and eat delicious food and enjoy nature and watch funny movies and make art and create and collaborate. A lot of us are now coming out of this quarantine situation, and we do have opportunities to socialize more, and it's never been more important. And I encourage you, when you are with people, really be there. Really make the decision of how much pleasure can I gain from this interaction. Because now we have to be the ones to balance it out for ourselves, right? Venus is on a break. And when she comes back as the warrior. So we really need to take care of ourselves. So lots of water, salt baths, the junk food, because everybody has comfort food, it's not going to be so comforting now. So we have to find healthy ways to comfort ourselves. And then the last thing I'm going to say about this entire, as we lead up to this eclipse, is if you do slide into habits of communicating or habits of coping that don't serve you, the trick will be then how quickly can you forgive yourself and reset, right? Do not linger in the guilt, in the shame. And pick your battles right now, because what we say and write right now has long-term effects. And I want all of you on the other side of this summer to be able to look back and say, God, I handled that with integrity. I did the right thing for me, in my spirit, and my sense of what is good, my sense of what is true and what is right. So I hope this helps you guys. We're definitely on an airplane, hurtling through, the air and in some massive turbulence, right? Kind of like in the middle of a hurricane. And be good to yourself and be good to the people around you and be safe. Because one of the things when Venus is hidden from our view, we're missing that protection of the divine feminine in a way. And being careful is not being scared. So when we've worked with the squirrel totem, it's the same idea. We prepare for the future. We don't hoard for the future. And it's the same thing. So be alert, be aware, stay safe, and find pockets of pleasure wherever you can to recharge your battery. Because like I said, even though we're in the midst of restructuring our entire culture and all of the values we've held, we can still find pleasure in the simple, beautiful things in life. And that will keep us above water during this time. So, thank you for viewing. Please like and subscribe on the YouTube channel if that's how you're viewing this. If you're watching on Instagram, thank you for your likes and thank you for viewing. If you need help during this time, I am here for you. I do private sessions. You can email me at info@thegoodwoo.org and I'll help you navigate that and the sliding scale. Or you can look on thegoodwoo.org at the services tab and you can see what I'm offering. Either way, if you have questions, if you want more information on this, please reach out to me. I'm here and I do this to be of service to everyone, so use me. Thank you all so much for viewing. Stay safe, stay alert, and find the pleasure that will still feel pleasurable when you're done with it.